A king once tried to arrest a prophet, but as he pointed at the man, the altar broke open, spilling ashes across the ground. His hand suddenly became stiff, and he felt paralyzed at the moment. But how could one prophet stand against a king and walk away unharmed? To find out, we must go back to the beginning of Jeroboam's story. King Solomon once placed a hard-working young man over many laborers in Israel. That young man was Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, from the Ephraimite town of Zeredah. Jeroboam's mother was a widow named Zeruiah, and Jeroboam was capable, active, and able to lead others. Solomon noticed his excellent work and placed him over workers from Ephraim and Manasseh, who were helping strengthen Jerusalem. Jeroboam's life changed while he was traveling outside Jerusalem. A prophet named Ahijah met Jeroboam alone on the road while wearing a new robe. The prophet suddenly removed the robe and tore it into 12 pieces. Then Ahijah told Jeroboam to take 10 pieces, and Jeroboam listened as Ahijah explained this strange action. The 12 pieces stood for Israel's 12 tribes. God promised Jeroboam that he would rule 10 tribes. Solomon had turned away from God and worshipped false gods. But because of David, God would wait until Solomon died before dividing the kingdom. After Solomon died, Jeroboam would rule the 10 northern tribes. Solomon's son would rule the tribe of Judah. Ahijah also gave Jeroboam a powerful promise from God. Jeroboam had to listen to God, follow his commands, and do what was right, as David had done. If Jeroboam obeyed, God would remain with him and build him a lasting family of kings. Jeroboam now knew that God had chosen him for an extraordinary future. This promise did not give Jeroboam permission to rule however he wanted. His future depended on faithful obedience to God. Every decision after that meeting would show whether Jeroboam truly trusted the God who chose him. News about Jeroboam eventually reached King Solomon, who saw him as a threat to his son's future rule. The king therefore tried to kill Jeroboam. Jeroboam could not fight the most powerful man in Israel, so he escaped and fled south into Egypt. There, Jeroboam received protection from Shishak, the king of Egypt. Jeroboam remained in Egypt, living far from his people, while he waited for the danger to end. Eventually, Solomon died after ruling Israel for 40 years. Solomon's son Rehoboam prepared to take his father's place, and Jeroboam left Egypt when he heard the news. The promise given beside the torn robe was moving toward fulfillment. The tribes gathered at Shechem to make Rehoboam their king. The people had suffered under Solomon's heavy work and taxes, and they wanted their new king to make life easier. Because Jeroboam had once led many workers, the people chose him to speak for them. Jeroboam asked Rehoboam to lighten their hard service, promising that the people would serve him if treated kindly. Rehoboam asked for 3 days before giving his answer. When Jeroboam and the people returned, Rehoboam rejected their request and promised even heavier burdens. The northern tribes refused this harsh answer, rejected David's family, and turned away from Rehoboam. Then the northern tribes called Jeroboam and made him king over Israel. Jeroboam now ruled 10 tribes, just as Ahijah had announced, while Rehoboam controlled Judah and Benjamin. The great kingdom once ruled by David and Solomon was now divided. Jeroboam had risen from labor supervisor to king. Rehoboam quickly gathered 180,000 trained soldiers to recover the northern kingdom from Jeroboam. Jeroboam faced the danger of war almost immediately after becoming king. However, God sent a prophet named Shemaiah to stop Rehoboam's army. The soldiers returned home, allowing Jeroboam to begin ruling without fighting that battle. Jeroboam quickly began strengthening the kingdom now placed under his control. He rebuilt Shechem in Ephraim and lived there, then strengthened Penuel, east of the Jordan River. These cities gave him safer places to rule and helped his new kingdom survive beside Rehoboam's kingdom. However, Jeroboam's greatest fear did not come from an approaching army. God's temple remained in Jerusalem, inside Rehoboam's territory, and Israel's people were expected to offer sacrifices there. Jeroboam worried whenever he thought about these journeys. He believed the people might return their loyalty to Rehoboam, kill Jeroboam, and restore David's family. Fear began controlling Jeroboam's decisions as king. Jeroboam looked for a way to keep everyone inside his kingdom, and after receiving advice, he made 2 golden calves. He placed one calf in Bethel near Israel's southern border. Jeroboam placed the other far north in Dan, creating a worship place at each end of his kingdom. The people would no longer need to enter Judah and visit Jerusalem. Jeroboam presented the calves and told Israel that traveling to Jerusalem was too difficult. Then he said, "Here are your gods, Israel, who brought you out of Egypt." His words led the people into terrible sin, as many traveled to Bethel or journeyed north to Dan. Jeroboam had protected his throne by turning Israel away from God's command. Jeroboam created an entire worship system around his new images, building shrines on high places throughout Israel. He appointed priests outside Levi's tribe and allowed ordinary people to serve at his shrines. Jeroboam also created a festival during a month chosen from his own mind. It looked similar to Judah's festival, but God had never commanded it. Jeroboam rejected the priests and Levites who served the Lord. Many Levites left their homes and moved into Judah because of Jeroboam's choices. Faithful Israelites also traveled south with them to worship in Jerusalem. The system Jeroboam created to secure his kingdom drove many devoted worshippers away from him. Jeroboam personally approached the altar at Bethel and planned to burn incense while the people watched. At that moment, a man of God arrived from Judah with a message about Jeroboam's altar, cried out against the altar in front of the king. Jeroboam heard that Josiah, a future king from David's family, would burn Jeroboam's priests' bones upon it. The man of God announced an immediate sign. The altar would split, and its ashes would pour onto the ground. Jeroboam became angry when he heard these words. He pointed toward the man and ordered his servants to capture him. But Jeroboam's outstretched hand became stiff and powerless, leaving him unable to pull it back. At the same moment, the altar broke open, and its ashes spilled across the ground, exactly as announced. Jeroboam's anger quickly turned into fear. He begged the man of God to pray for him. The man prayed, and Jeroboam's hand became normal, allowing him to move it again. Jeroboam invited the man to his home for food and a reward, but the man refused. God had told him not to eat or drink in Bethel. God had also commanded him to return by another road. The man left the city, while Jeroboam remained beside the broken altar he had created. Even this frightening warning did not change Jeroboam's heart. His hand had become useless before being healed, and his altar had split exactly when the prophet announced. Still, Jeroboam continued appointing priests and maintaining the worship system created to protect his throne. Jeroboam would not leave the path he had chosen. Sometime later, sorrow entered Jeroboam's family when his young son Ahijah became seriously sick. Jeroboam wanted to know whether the child would recover. He remembered Ahijah, who first announced his kingship, and believed the old prophet could reveal what would happen. However, Jeroboam did not openly seek Ahijah's help. Jeroboam told his wife to hide her identity because he did not want Ahijah to recognize Israel's queen. He asked her to wear different clothing and travel to Shiloh. She carried bread, cakes, and honey as gifts. Jeroboam told her to ask about their sick son, and she obeyed. Ahijah was now very old and unable to see, so a disguise seemed certain to fool him. But God told Ahijah that Jeroboam's wife was approaching and revealed why she was coming. When the woman reached the doorway, Ahijah called her Jeroboam's wife. He asked why she was pretending to be another woman. Ahijah then gave her a message for Jeroboam. God had raised Jeroboam from among the people and made him Israel's ruler. God had taken the kingdom from David's family and given 10 tribes to Jeroboam. Yet Jeroboam had disobeyed God, created false gods and metal images, and made the Lord angry. Ahijah announced that disaster would fall upon Jeroboam's family, and every male in his house would be removed. His family would lose the throne that God had given him. Other family members would suffer shameful deaths and receive no proper burial. However, Jeroboam's sick son would receive an honorable burial because God found something good in him. The judgment went beyond Jeroboam's own home. Ahijah announced that Israel would later lose its land and be scattered beyond the Euphrates River. This future disaster would come because Jeroboam had sinned and caused Israel to sin. His choices as king would therefore harm both his family and the nation he ruled. Then Ahijah told Jeroboam's wife exactly when the child would die. When her feet entered the city, Jeroboam's wife left Shiloh carrying this painful message. She traveled back toward Tirzah, where Jeroboam's home stood. As soon as she entered the house, the child died, and Israel buried Jeroboam's son and mourned. Jeroboam still did not turn away from the worship he had created. He continued ruling Israel, while conflict with Judah remained constant. Jeroboam and Rehoboam fought throughout their years as rival kings, although Scripture does not describe every battle. The struggle kept both kingdoms divided, while Jeroboam remained determined to protect his throne. After Rehoboam died, his son Ahijah became king of Judah, and war soon began against Jeroboam. Their forces met near Mount Zemaraim in the hill country of Ephraim. This became the greatest recorded military event of Jeroboam's later reign. Jeroboam gathered 800,000 chosen warriors, while Ahijah gathered 400,000, giving Jeroboam an army twice as large. Before the fighting began, Ahijah stood on a mountain and addressed Jeroboam's forces. He accused Jeroboam of rebelling against David's family. Jeroboam continued his plan, secretly moving part of his army behind Judah, while Ahijah spoke. Jeroboam planned to trap Judah between two Israelite forces. His main army waited in front, while his hidden warriors moved behind Abijah's soldiers. When Judah looked around, Jeroboam's trap was already complete. Israel stood both in front of Judah and behind it. The men of Judah cried out to God when they saw the ambush. The priests sounded their trumpets, and Judah's soldiers gave a battle shout. Then the fighting turned against Jeroboam, and his larger army could not break Judah's forces. His soldiers fled, and the Bible records that 500,000 chosen men of Israel were killed. Jeroboam had entered the battle with overwhelming strength and used a clever plan against Ahijah. Yet Jeroboam suffered a crushing defeat. Ahijah pursued the weakened northern army and captured Bethel, Jeshanah, Ephron, and their surrounding villages. Jeroboam even lost Bethel, where he had placed one golden calf. Jeroboam never recovered the same power during Abijah's reign. His army had failed, his ambush had collapsed, and important territory was gone. The king, who once feared losing his throne, now ruled a weakened kingdom. Jeroboam received clear warnings throughout life, but he never truly returned to God's commanded path. Jeroboam ruled the northern kingdom of Israel for 22 years. Later, kings continued his false worship, and the Bible remembered Jeroboam as the king who caused Israel to sin. He received a kingdom, a promise, and many chances to obey, but fear and disobedience controlled his rule. The records of Jeroboam's reign included his wars and the ways he governed Israel. Yet his strongest biblical memory remained the worship system he created. Jeroboam's story took a huge turn when he fled to Shishak in Egypt. But Shishak wasn't only known for helping Jeroboam. He stripped Jerusalem's treasures, launched one of the biggest invasions in all of Scripture, and captured Judah's cities. If you want to hear the incredible story of Shishak, comment down below.